It was noontime today in the center of Beijing when a man walked in the middle of the Avenue of Eternal Peace.
Well, all right. Welcome back to the Survival and Basic Badass Podcast, Kevin and Chuck. Today, well, we're going to talk about socialism. It's been 3 or 4 weeks, and you guys got away without me ranting about socialism specifically. So I thought I better come back.
Yeah,
Actually,
it was a welcome break, but we're back in
I
it.
know, I
And
know, I know. But that was the thing. So I guess Steve Forbes came out and was talking about how America is being regulated into socialism. And I
right,
gotta say, he kind of makes some valid points. And so I thought we'd hit this and see what people think and maybe get your take. I definitely look forward to seeing some of the comments and some of the stuff going on there and see what people have to say about it. We're happy to be back. I know we haven't been live in a little bit. So, anyway, let's kind of jump right into it. So, basically, before I lay out the case, let's just a quick understanding of what socialism is, because obviously there's a lot of countries and places out there that claim to be socialist and they're all different. People are like, oh, Venezuela, they're the model. No, wait, no, they're not. And people are like, oh no, socialism's evil. Look at Nazi Germany, or look at the Netherlands, or all these places that maybe really aren't that socialist. And anyway, so let's kind of jump into it. Socialism, according to the Communist Manifesto, is a society in which the means of production, distribution, and exchange are owned by the community as a whole rather than private individuals. So that's like socialism in its purest form. Now, when the government owns everything, sadly, that's considered the community, because the government, right?
right,
They're the part of
right.
the people. They're a representation of you, Kevin.
Yeah,
No,
I
that,
think
that's
I
not
think the
what you're
first
saying.
place that falls apart
Yeah,
is every government is corrupt, even the best governments.
right.
And boy, if you want them in charge of like all your
Everything.
stuff, ooh, if you're not born to the right family or you don't have the right daddy, you ain't getting shit.
No, Kevin, we're all the same.
Sorry. I guess I misunderstood it. All
Yeah.
right.
Well, a lot of people, like in your mind, right? Their capitalism is based on greed and socialism is based on need, is what I
Right.
always hear, right?
Right.
And I kind of think it's actually the opposite. Because now work with me. Now I know we all say, what is it? Wall Street, Gordon Gecko, greed is
Greed is
good,
good.
right?
Yeah.
The idea is, if capitalism, you have to satisfy a need in order to get paid,
Mm-hmm.
which to me is why I kind of say, well, it's kind of the opposite of greed, right? I
Right.
mean, maybe you're doing it because you want money, but you
Mm-hmm.
got to serve people in order to get that money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? In a true, whereas in socialism, you run into, well, the government decides what's best, who should get paid, and that kind of thing. So
Well,
that's dangerous ground.
yeah. So let's break that down a little bit because there's a lot of there's a standard argument for socialism. There's a standard argument for capitalism, right? I mean, honestly, who wants Granny eating cat food because she can't afford anything to eat and she freezes to death in her apartment because she can't. I mean, I'm talking about like there are people that have needs that can't fend for themselves. A basic
True.
family is kind of socialist, right? Mom takes care. Um, Dad goes out and makes money, makes sure all the bills are paid, and the kids, they don't know shit. They don't can't do anything. They can't take care of themselves. You know what I mean? Somebody's got to take care of them while they go to school and they learn how to operate as a grown up. That's that's kind of socialism. We all run our families that way to an extent, right? And I don't think
Right,
socialism
right.
is
A family
necessarily
is socialism in
evil,
true,
right?
right,
Right. I don't think it's
true
evil.
form.
I
Yeah.
think why it goes off the rails is because there's so many people that are just shitty. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Everybody went and worked as hard as they could to provide for as many people as they could, and not doing it for self-serving purposes. Socialism would work out.
No,
It
Kevin,
would
we're all
be
the
like
same.
really, we'd be in like a paradise, like a utopia. But the thing is, there's just so many shitty people. Like a lot of them.
Yes.
Like 90%
Yes.
of people are shitty.
Right.
So
I think the
that's my
idea
argument.
that's fair. Like, all right, so capitalism, I was trying to find a good definition, and I figure in my book, Ayn Rand, right? Who knows capitalism better than Ayn Rand?
Better than
Right?
Ayn Rand, right?
So she says capitalism is a social system based on the recognition of individual rights, including property rights. All property is privately owned, recognizing individual rights, and the government is really only there to protect you from physical force.
All
Now,
right.
I think that's kind of legit. I mean, I think that's a fair definition. Now, obviously, true capitalism is never going to exist, right? You're never going to
Mhm.
have no government interference, and you would kind of have chaos like that.
Right.
Like,
Well, I mean, I would not say that capitalism is a perfect system. You
no,
know,
by no means.
there's definitely the idea that wealth kind of centers, that kind of funnels into one or two top people if it's unchecked forever. But I mean, also, there's pitchforks and torches. I mean that
Yes,
happens.
there's
So
that.
you
Well, I
know,
think
there's a little
the
self-regulation when you're super rich.
exactly the best definition I could come up to describe the two, I think, is with capitalism, you look for equal opportunity. And with socialism, you look for equal outcome,
Right.
right?
Right.
So
That's a fair.
socialism,
That's a fair
everybody gets
assessment.
it, right? That seems reasonable to me. And with equal opportunity, I think to me, that's what I consider fair, but that doesn't mean fair in everybody's book. You know what I'm saying? So I did have a breakdown. Now I saw a guy on, I did a lot of research on this, and I watched a video of a guy. It said Second Thoughts is the name of his YouTube channel. And he had an article about why people would work under socialism. Like he
Okay.
seems to think that, capitalists are always like,
He's got
well,
it down.
people are just going to be lazy and they're not going to
Right.
work, right? Because that's what we say, right?
But that
I say that all the
does go
time.
back to my 90% of people are shitty argument. But let's hear it.
No, he says we don't understand.
All
So
right.
here are the arguments, and they sound beautiful. Kevin, like I had a tear in my eye. I was like, I had my fist in the air, like that's the big socialist symbol. And
Right.
I was
Right.
like, yeah. And I was ready to get my pitchfork and go out and, Viva la Raza or whatever they say. I don't know, some
Mhm.
kind of revolution. And I had my Che shirt on, and I see you
You're
got
ready
your
to party. You're ready to party. I like this.
We're ready, right?
Yeah.
So here's what we got. We got automatically, all right, now, because right now you look at society and you see that like half the people are working and half the people aren't, and they're all on welfare. Well, that's because
Right.
the greedy capitalists, they didn't even make enough jobs. That's how selfish they are. And all the jobs, they won't even pay a fair wage. But if we had socialism, guess what? Everybody would work. But since that other half of the people are going into the workforce, somehow they're going to cut your 12 hours in half and everybody's going to work 4.
Right.
And I'm like, well, 4, that's not half of what I'm
Yeah.
working to carry
Kate-
everybody else. But, okay.
8 years old and up.
Yeah. Easier to work.
Everybody
Now,
got to work.
Then he points out that
8
a lot
to
of
80.
people,
All cripple crazy.
Exactly. Hey, you got to work, right? You want to eat, you got to work. Oh wait, no, that sounds pretty capitalist. to
That's
me.
capitalist, dude.
That's
Yeah.
all right.
Everybody.
Sorry, I was
everybody
wrong.
eats.
I got confused, right?
Mhm.
So his next argument is, well, you're like, well, wait a minute. Some jobs are like crappier. Like, who's going to want to work at the sewer plant when
Right.
they can work at the DVD rental store and
Mhm.
just sit behind the counter, right? I'd rather. But what if I was to offer you, Kevin, you only have to work 2 hours a day if you work at the poo plant,
All right.
and you have to work 4 hours if you work at the DVD store.
Right.
See, doesn't that sound better?
No, I'm still DVD store. I'll be honest with you.
Oh,
But
so
I mean, we can
nobody's
work out a ratio. You know what I mean?
okay.
We can
All
get
right.
this figured out. We can
15
hammer out the
minutes.
details.
All right. So reduced hours for a shitty job. Now, you never have to worry about your crappy boss that you hate because
Right.
you'll be working for yourself. You are the boss.
No, that's capitalism.
That's weird.
This seems like the notes got mixed up here. Is this this is the argument? You're
That's
your
what
own
he
boss.
said. That's what he said.
right.
You're your own boss because you remember you're
So if
all
I'm
the
working
same.
at the sewer
You're all
plant for
the
4
same.
hours,
You're serving the community, and you
right?
are
But if
the
I'm working at the
community.
sewer plant for 4 hours, but then I feel like I want to drink beer, can I just leave after 15 minutes? I mean, I'm working for myself. Make the rules,
No.
right?
You're not understanding.
All right. I guess I'm
right.
missing this.
So
All right.
maybe he didn't make the best arguments. I mean, he looked fun and happy, and like he was a
Yeah.
hipster.
I
had
I
some
feel
cool
like, you know,
clothes
I feel like there's the straw man argument where you like make up like your opponent doesn't really think this, but you make it up to sound ridiculous. But when your opponent really does feel like that, it's hard. It's hard, man. It
Yeah.
makes it difficult.
All right. So I heard you came up with some arguments that you would use if you were trying to promote socialism.
Right.
You
right.
probably heard it on your Rage Against the Machine albums.
Yeah, I got
And
the
you
shirt
were
on.
like,
I was listening to music
"Fuck
before.
you, I won't do what you
Right.
tell me, like that.
It's
right?
all about, yeah, exactly.
All right.
So
I do say that at work quite a bit, actually.
yeah,
That's kind of my go-to
that
phrase.
old line,
that's like a catchphrase, they have
Right.
for, oh, here comes Jaeger. Yeah, fuck you, I won't do what they tell me, like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Well, socialism works in a way where everybody can work together to like long-term goals. You know what I mean? So you can say that we are trying to get rid of insects. So every time somebody goes outside, if you ever see an insect, stomp on it. You got to squish it. You know what I mean? We can all work together and create massive projects that make the world a better place if we all work together long term.
Okay.
The capitalism, especially in the United States, it doesn't work that way. You got 4 years. You know what I mean? You're not getting any long-term goals.
No.
You're not thinking past your next term. You're not thinking to the next generation.
Right.
It's hard to do that in a capitalist society because people are trying to get their own shit. You know what I mean? You got to be rich. You don't give a shit about your grandkids. They got to do their own thing. Take care of themselves, Socialism works kind of in that way. But the problem is when you try and make long-term goals, they usually end up like not being worthwhile when long-term comes around.
Right.
Valid point. There's a lot of people that are sick and crippled and maybe they're good people. They're good, honest people, but dude got run over when he was a kid and hasn't been able to walk since. In a purely capitalist society, that dude's fucked, dude. You're gonna die. The
idea is to just hope that somebody loves you and will take care of you. And that's
charity,
honestly
right?
what churches and
go to the
charities
alms
are
houses.
going to be. Yeah, there you go. Alms to the poor, right?
Right.
Hey. No, but
right.
In a way, like you're right, though. You're exactly right. Like, how do we have, like, I want there to be like a county health department where if I have no money, I can go get my polio shots and my, my whatever, all the vaccines that kids get today, whatever it is, mumps, measles, rubella, whatever.
And maybe you have really shitty parents. That happens. People have shitty parents. they can't afford to get you that polio vaccine. Should it be free? Well, I mean, it's going to help keep spreading everybody else. I get
Everybody
that
else,
kind of
right?
idea.
That's the
Right.
argument.
Mhm.
And that's the thing. Like, how
and
dumb
it's-
do you want all the kids out
Yeah.
there, right?
Well, that's
do you
the
not
thing
want
with,
like
I
a
know somebody
basic?
that was complaining about school taxes. They didn't have any kids in school. But do you think a bunch of stupid kids really benefit you? Do you think that's going to be good to have like a bunch of dumbass kids that are taking care of you when you're in the nursing home? It's not great. It ain't great. You know, you can't have a good, solid republic or a democracy if you have uneducated people. And that's a fair point. You know, communism, you get that training, man. You got to get that training. And you're going to school full time. How are you going to pay for that? Really?
Right.
And I mean, that's another argument for communism, or socialism. But there's drawbacks too. There's drawbacks with all that stuff.
Right.
And I'm
All
not
right.
saying capitalism is perfect. I'm just saying socialism is awful. It always ends bad.
That's one of the things that always kind of upsets me, though, is they're like, well, so right. So when you say socialism, right, people always point out, well, what about Cuba? What about Venezuela that collapsed? What about Nazi Germany? They were socialist, right? And right. But and you're right. And you're like, well, that's an interpretation, China. That's socialism. Well,
they're running fine.
It's an interpretation of socialism, but
Right.
we would do it different and better.
Right.
Well, I hate to say it. Wait,
yeah,
but
go ahead.
America is an interpretation of capitalism. But I would venture to say that it's not very pure at this point.
Right.
I'm not saying there's a better place because I haven't found it. But it's not pure in any stretch. When you want to talk about evil corporations, there is government corruption allowing evil corporations to do most of the things that you hear people, pointing out. So, I mean, hey, you could put in the comments, right? Like, examples of evil corporations.
But yeah, what's your definitely put that in your comments. What's your favorite example of awful awful shit like that? For sure. I mean,
right,
I think my top two are Nestle and Kraft.
Oh,
they're just terrible people. Terrible.
Now, I was just reading on the internet and they were talking about Henry Ford was like an evil racist man and stuff. And I'm like, I've never heard this one.
Oh yeah, he's definitely, he didn't like Jews. He had a real problem with Jews.
I mean, come on.
And he thought Hitler was a really great guy.
Really?
Yeah. He thought that before Hitler invaded Czechoslovakia, he thought that the United States could benefit from a dude like Hitler being president.
Now the guy who is the head of England, not the awesome guy, the other one.
Not Churchill.
Not Churchill. The guy previous to Churchill.
Chamberlain
was
that
was
like,
I think it was. All like down for Hitler and
he was a fan.
And
a lot of people were a fan of Hitler before all the dirty details came out.
Right, exactly. He's got that whole Boy Scout thing going on, just like England.
Hitler Youth, bro.
Hitler Youth, strong. All right. So the moment you all been waiting for, I have to point out. Now there's America
18 minutes
is being regulated into socialism. You didn't have to wait that long. It was not that long. You'll be okay. So first, I'm going to start out with Steve Forbes' argument. Now, first he said, and he made it a little better than I did. I'll try and put a link in the
Let's
the
get
show
the bullet
notes.
points. Yeah.
But hey, here we go. So he says that the U.S. government has taken such control over so many industries that they may as well own the companies. And obviously the big example he started with was the automobile industry. They're telling you what kind of vehicles you can make, how many of each kind. They're telling you what the emissions have to be, how many miles per gallon, what kind of, fuel mileage standards, electric vehicles, the emissions, all that stuff. So you have to take all the risk, put out cars that everybody knows the American people don't want. And then the government has all the control, but you have all the risk. And if nobody buys it, you're left holding the bag.
You're fucked.
So
if everybody buys it, you don't get much.
He touched on, the EPA, right? How much do they control business and regulate? I know in California, if you have franchises for food, they're talking about you have to have set, dollar an hour wages. You have to treat your employees a certain way. New York City, you have you can only sell certain size sodas and the stupid nonsense,
Right.
but they control every aspect of your business to where you don't own your business anymore. You own it
Mhm.
on paper. You have the risk. You got to pay the bills, but
Right.
they
You have
tell
to
you how
pay
to
that
run it.
debt back that for that loan you took to start your business.
Exactly. Let's talk about now. Here's where I kind of deviate into my own theories here. Gun manufacturing, right? We're not able to make the guns that we want and sell the things you want. Subtle things like the farming, right? So farming, the way they do it is the way they control the industry is you pay taxes, so they take all your money, and then they're like, "We'll give you a little bit of your money back through grants."
Right.
If you do it exactly the way we tell you to do it.
Right.
That was kind of how they did that whole seatbelt thing. And remember the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit thing?
Yeah.
You
Don't get
think
me
that
wound
people
up
got together, right? You think
about that
people
shit.
got together, you youngins, that, oh, well, that's because they made it 55 because that was just safe and everyone was on board and wanted to do it. And that was not really the case. The government taxed the hell out of us and then said, hey, we'll give the money back to the states as long as you pass seatbelt laws that nobody wants. And as long as you make a national speed limit of 55 miles an hour that nobody wants. And you
Mhm.
start, implementing these rules. We'll talk about the medical industry. With COVID and that regulation, you're telling me that hospitals are free to do whatever they want? That didn't really seem like the case. They were, completely controlling doctors and what they were able to do. And, yeah, I mean, people kind of spoke out, but how much were they ostracized and, kind of kicked out of the community for what they believed? Um, Now, another thing that I would say is America kind of really going down that whole socialist road. What if I told you that my theory of why there's so much unemployment, aside of the fact that we allow people to exist without working, and by that I mean there's programs that pay their bills, right? We have that kind of thing. But what if I told you that one of the biggest causes is the crappy education these kids are getting in the schools?
Mhm.
I mean, that's really where a lot of the unemployment is coming from. People are like, well, I can't find a good job. Well, you can't find a good job because you got a crappy education.
Right. Because
And
you're an idiot. I mean, that's not even
it's
fair to say. You can't say that somebody's an idiot. They're not educated.
they're
You
not
know, you're
educated.
dumb. I
Um,
mean, it's you didn't come out being stupid. You know what I
right,
mean? Your brain works right. They just
right,
filled it up with all the wrong shit.
exactly.
You know,
And what if
when
I
in school do they teach you how to balance a checkbook or, you know,
right?
any of the basic life skills, balance a budget, that
It's
sort of stuff that is non-existent in school.
that's one of the things. Like I it's funny, like when you have a little kid, they're always like, well, I don't want to help you with the yard work because you get to use the chainsaw and I see that it's quick and easy and fun and you
Right.
get to do that. And you have me over here with a handsaw and it's work and it's exhausting. Or dad gets to use the ride-on lawnmower, but I'm using the little push mower and it's
Right.
crappy and hard for me. But I gotta say, well, one, when you have the little crappy lawnmower and you forget to check the oil and don't put oil in it, or you run it over the big rocks and you trash the blades and you
Right.
ruin the mower, or you do whatever it is that destroys it, you ruin something that maybe costs 75, $150
Mhm.
as opposed to ruining the $2,800 lawn tractor.
Right.
And same thing, you learn with the like hand saws and doing the crappy little things and picking up the sticks. And I hate to say, part of it's being out there watching dad do it and seeing, hey, that's how he doesn't get the tree to fall on him. That's how these
Mhm.
things happen. You don't go right to the advanced position, you have to learn in stages and go through, all the steps that basically get you to, where you're prepared and capable to do things. Well, that's kind of how the schools should be. I mean, that's part of that training and that learning. Same argument is minimum wage. By having minimum wage, we're denying young people a lot of these jobs that used to be the school age kid. Because thing is, when a company's forced to pay a higher wage, they expect to get more results out of it. And
Right.
so they're like, well, I can't have a kid doing it if I'm paying them $15 an hour, because the kid isn't going to give me $15 in value.
Right.
But that's part of that learning process that kids need to go through. And, it's illegal for them to have their own little lemonade stand and whatever else in half these places.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like they fuck these kids coming and going. Don't do any. Didn't you tell me a story about your kid selling candy at school?
Oh,
and getting in trouble for it?
Yes. The teacher shut him down. So we had one of these. It was called Kingston Candy, right? And it was basically a candy supply place for to sell like the big blocks, the big box that I guess you can buy them at Sam's Club now and all that kind of stuff, where you can buy the 30 packs of M&Ms and, the big thing of Lifesavers or whatever it is. Right. And so the kid's like, hey, I can buy this for $14 and I can go sell packs of gum for $1 a piece or whatever it is. And there's 25 in a box, or, I don't know what the numbers are, right? Exactly. But bottom line is, then I can go out and make $25. I turn my 14 into 25. And how cool am I? Right.
Right.
And so he's doing it, running around, selling all the kids, coming home with, $150 at the end of the week and, high on the hog, right? Hey, this is a great thing I started. And all the kids are loving it because they're getting the stuff cheaper than they are out of the vending machines and that kind of stuff, whatever it is. And maybe they're getting better food in their mind, crappier in the school's mind, who knows? So one of the teachers caught him doing it and was like, oh no, I'm shutting you down. Right. And she put a stop to it. And then it turned out she was doing the same thing on the sly and was just mad because he was undercutting her business. And I'm like, yep, that's about how it seems to be. That's when you stomp on the little kids, that's an ugly world, right?
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I was at a some sort of a festival a few weeks ago with the missus, and it was like a flea market type deal. And there's this little kid walking around. He had 2 boxes. He had a box of Sour Patch Kids, and the little bags, the big box with little bags, and the Airheads that were like half the size of an Airhead you would just buy. Those are the chewy ones.
Yep.
And he was charging $2 a piece for these things.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I gotta say, I respect the hustle. You think he was paying taxes? No, fuck the government. He was running his own business, pure capitalism, and he was keeping it real. So I bought Airhead and I bought Sour Patch Kids, $2 a pop. That was probably 80 cents worth of food, worth of candy. But I had to respect that hustle. Kid was just out there on his own with boxes of candy.
Now, were you supporting the hustle, or were you part of you just wanted candy?
Well, I mean, I wanted a candy, and how
convenient he was there to satisfy
that there was
your
what
need?
candy right there for $2. You know what I mean?
I have to point out, he paid sales tax when he purchased that item.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's a valid argument. So
Now,
he's already paying.
He's paying.
The government's getting their check.
But, they want you to pay tax again.
Yeah.
But I'm just.
But now
saying.
think about it this way, though. Say you own a business. You own a building, right? You're selling falafels out of your building,
sure.
Right? You have to charge those people sales tax, right? You kind of work that into the price, Falafels, everybody wants one.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They're going to come to you and get it. You make it good. You're doing your job. But don't pay your property taxes on that building. See how long it is that you own it before the government owns it. You know what I mean? You don't own shit. You don't own a goddamn thing in this country. You know what I mean? Don't pay your taxes. See how long you own it. Yeah, that doesn't belong to you.
Yeah, but
That
Kevin,
belongs to the
they're
government.
building the roads.
They're letting you rent
You-
it for a small amount of money. You can buy your own house, get $80,000 of cash. I did that. I bought my own house. Guess what happens if I don't pay my taxes? That shit's gone.
It's gone.
Gone. That doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the government. They're letting me use it for now.
And that's, I mean, how regulated are we in society? It's insane. Every step, every move you make, when you build a house, they control all aspects of construction. No, obviously, I want a secure structure. I don't want it to fall down and kill anybody. And I understand the concept of the basics of, well, it should be up to code, whatever. And you have things. But now code in like New York, they can't have a water heater. You can't buy a water heater under 55 gallons. Is that my understanding?
That is accurate.
55 gallons.
That is accurate. Yep.
If it's 55 or more, you're not buying
just
it.
Eating up too much water. It's a waste. You don't need to take a shower that's that long. Yeah, right. You don't need that long of a shower. Seriously, bro.
No.
Get your life together.
No.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing in there?
Seriously. Seriously. What you ought to be doing is getting wet, soaping up your body, turning the water off. Yeah, turning the water off, soaping up your body, then turning the water back on to rinse it off and jumping out of the shower immediately. If you're doing anything else, you're a pervert.
Finally, Kevin. I've been waiting for somebody to say it, and here it is. Now people are coming clean with this, and we're all looking forward to the truth coming out,
Mm-hmm.
And that's really
we know
what
you're up to.
We
know what you're up to in there.
But that's the thing. Every aspect of society. And then we have, the thought police, the whole woke thing, right? Now, but the woke thing is still what happens, right? You don't have any rights as an individual. It's all about the feelings of the community. And that's what comes, like, to me, that's the big example that says, hey, wake up. Socialism's a bad idea. Because anybody that disagrees with the
these are the people making the laws under socialism.
You're shunned and shut down. They put you out as, oh, no, that guy shouldn't exist in our society. You shouldn't have gas stoves,
Right.
That's
right.
That's what it comes down to. But that's the whole thing. And, more and more you get the masses that just think about stuff. And I swear people just seem to go along with stuff. And it's just like the next dumb idea, and nothing's vetted. Nothing is really tested out. And, the laws are what's forcing it. It was always funny to me when they had the talk radio came out, and like, I don't know, Rush Limbaugh or whatever came out and was the big thing, and he kind of dominated the whole world. And then they'd have these couple of left-leaning shows, and they didn't get any play, and nobody wanted to hear them.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, it's not really fair. We need to make a law that the radio stations play, half Republican, half Democrat, because that's the only way it'll be fair. And I'm not saying we're all like, yeah, Republicans are so smart and great.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is this is what you get, where, oh, even though that's crappy, I think everybody should deal with it. And that's how
everybody turns the radio off when you come on, but by rules, I feel like there should be a law that means that I can talk as much as I want, even though nobody likes listening to me.
Kevin, the beauty is we have the right to like have a show like this and say what we want, right? And the beauty is you guys don't have to listen, Yeah,
you can turn the shit right off.
You can be like, you know what? Kevin's kind of a jerk.
It won't even hurt my feelings. Like on a personal level, I won't even bother me.
Kind of hard to look at. Kevin's kind of a jerk. There's all these things. And that's, that's what it comes down to. But in reality, the market dictates, obviously we all know in our hearts that this show would be huge and amazing. Like everybody in the world would be listening to the Survival and Basic Badass podcast if, it wasn't for the woke leftist media and,
Right.
the evil people over at YouTube and Facebook for, blocking our amazing content. All right.
Right.
That may
I
not
mean, if they put our
really
show
be
on
true.
MSNBC,
Yes.
we'd be just as big as, is it Rachel Maddow? That's MMC. I can't keep track of any of
Whoever
these
the
people.
other guys with
Yeah.
five people in the audience, we'd be right there with them. We could do
Right.
that too.
Honestly, we probably get as many views as Rachel Maddow's show, as fucked up as that is.
We could. Yeah. No, exactly. But that's the thing, is that you I don't know, I can't even I lose focus with this whole thing because it's just such a silly argument. But that's what we always hear. We always hear, well, if I was given a shot, guess what?
Right.
If you do something great, the opportunities will show up.
Yeah, this is America. A lot of people think
really
about
will.
getting their piece of pie, but it's
Yes.
a big bakery. You can bake your own pie. You can make anything you want. You know what I mean? It's
Yep.
you don't have to get your, like, it's not like a finite amount. Like, it's not a zero-sum game. Just because somebody else is rich doesn't mean you can't be rich now because he's got all the money. There's more.
Can't get
You
none
can
of
make it. You can make all the money you want. If you're smart enough, creative enough, and hardworking enough, you can be as successful as you want. And I know some of us are naturally dumb and maybe never be rich, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. I've come to terms with my place in the world, and I get it. But
get it.
that doesn't mean that if I didn't work my ass off, if I didn't work a little bit harder, I wouldn't be a little bit more successful.
I always
But,
kind of
I like
I always
beer.
kind of thought that if you're really dumb and you don't know that you're dumb and you don't know that you're not entitled to it all,
Right.
that you could probably succeed and kick ass. And I think
Mhm.
that's right. I think that it's so hard to get past in your mind all the obstacles and the conditioning that we have of, well, you can't just go out and make $1 million. Well, why not?
Yeah. I don't know. It's probably because you don't think you can make $1 million, right? That's how
What
it
is
goes.
it they always say? They're like, well, I don't think I could do it. And then I'm always like, yeah, you're right. You probably couldn't.
Mhm.
And then if they're like, I think I could do this. And I'm like, exactly. I know you can.
Mhm.
And they're like, but just yesterday.
Well, I'll tell you something,
Yep.
to be honest with you. I was looking at they were doing a study on average numbers in bank accounts. And you're a lot more likely to have the first number in your bank account be an 8 or a 9 than a 1 or a 2.
Really?
It's because you want to make $1 million. You're a lot more likely to have $900,000 and working towards that $1 million. You know what I mean? Once you achieve your goal, it's not, you ruin everything. If you wanted $100,000 in your safety savings account, you're a lot more likely to have 80,000 or 90,000 than you are to have 10,000. It's just one of those things. You get too close to reaching your goal, and then you start postponing and coasting. Because once you reach your goal, what are you going to do? Anybody that says they want to make $1 million and then makes $1 million, now they want 10, because that's how human brains work.
Well, that's the problem is, I wanted $1,000. Well, I hit 1,000. Now I need 10,000.
Right.
Now I need 20,000.
Right. But nobody wants to really hit that 10,000. It's in their brain. That's why they're going to have 9,000 their whole life. 800, 100,000. You're always going to have those high numbers where you're close, but not quite get it. You got to push it, man.
There.
Yeah.
Hit it. So basically, my advice to you, say no to socialism. It's bad. Because that's the thing, though. It's like you can't just let them control everything when you're taking all the risk. That's how I always laugh. Like if you go play the stock market and you have, $5,000 and you lose it, the government isn't like, hey, I feel really bad about it. Let me give you half of that back. Here's 2,500.
Right.
No, that 5,000
Right.
is just
They'll
gone.
cover you.
They're like, screw you. That's you. But if you
They
get
did.
lucky,
I
you
have to
beat
say-
the odds.
I have to say, there is a big push with those PPE loans that they gave everybody, for keeping their employees working during COVID.
Yes.
You just got to keep that money.
Yeah.
You just got to keep it. You didn't have to pay that shit back.
No.
You get to keep it. I know somebody that was running a business. They gave him $140,000
Yeah.
as long as he used that money to pay his employees.
Mm-hmm.
He made enough money to pay his employees as it was.
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, you just move that money to this account and this money to that account, and now you get to keep $140,000.
And I know what he spent it on.
Yeah.
Yep.
He gave all his employees raises.
Oh, yeah. That was what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, that's not what he did with it.
No.
But
he's got a nice car, doesn't he? Or
he does have a nice car.
nice,
So,
like Cummins diesel.
I mean, they do
a
lot of fucking welfare for rich people too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just to be fair out there, it's not the single mom with 3 kids that is raping your tax money. It's that business that was doing just fine.
And I hate to say it, that's corrupt capitalism, right? I mean, that is the point. That's why I'm saying, people are like, "Oh, America, capitalism's been tried." No, that's corruption. Corruption has been tried in the United States.
Yeah,
it's been.
To be fair, it's been tried everywhere.
Yeah,
they've been doing this game for.
But that's our
3,000
point.
years.
You should have a little bit of freedom, because if they had complete control and we had corruption, then all hell would break loose.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how it goes. And that's what happens when they take away your guns. Just putting that out there.
Oh, shit.
Right? So, anyway, you guys need to be subscribing to our YouTube channel. It would be great if you gave us a like for the episode. Maybe leave comments. Let us know, what your take is. Are we wrong? Is capitalism the answer?
Yeah. Listen,
socialism
honestly, if you're a socialist and you are listening to our show and you want to tell us how we're wrong, put that in the comments. I would love to hear it. If you're a capitalist and you agree with everything I'm saying, make a comment about how handsome I am. I appreciate that.
Yes. If you like my magnificent beard. Also, if you listening on YouTube, Spotify, anywhere that you find great podcasts, leave a review. Let them know. Let people know you're appreciating it. You have questions, comments, concerns, things you want to tell us. You can email us at preppingbadass@gmail.com. Otherwise, I appreciate you listening and stay safe. We'll talk to you guys probably next week, but I don't think next Saturday there'll be a live episode on YouTube. So watch out. See what we can do for you. But definitely every week right here, your favorite podcast. There you go. All right. Stay safe.